Hello and welcome to part 12 of my Dragon Wars walkthrough for the Apple II. In this video we will revisit Freeport because I neglected something, then visit Rustic, the final Eastern Isle. There we'll visit two very different locations either side of a bridge with unusual guardians. I auto-mapped a lot of stuff in advance to save time, but I'll note the critical squares and I hope you enjoy the full in-game maps. I'll also uncover some interesting things about the Mystic Wood, which we previously only used for the transportation nexus and getting everyone druid magic. Also, I don't show how to get the item I give to the bridge guardians until the end of the video. I cut something out of the recording and then saved erroneously, hence the misordering. A link to my game facts guide and maps relevant to this video should be included in the description. Okay, so here we are at Salvation. This is the auto map of what we have so far, and I also want to note in the description the solutions to the Magic College, or one of them, is in Route 13, so it has those spells if you want to go back and get them, but I also didn't want to spoil them. So here's a shortcut. We just drop down through a very, very, very long pit, and this is not certain death. It's back to the fairies who almost kill us, but it doesn't count. And so we are basically backtracking to the Smuggler's Cove. We're going to stop off at Freeport. We will have a full map because I auto-mapped a lot of stuff as mentioned in the introduction. And then we're going to see one more part of the story. So we know the drill here. 2 merc trees, but they're not really a worry. And not too much to say about Freeport, except we've been there before, and I'm going to do the old trick of exiting on one side and entering on another so that I don't have to wind my way through the harbor. I guess that's a good trick to know in general. And you can see the main passage kind of snakes through that harbor with a little bridge. And yes, we could have done this earlier, but this is an important enough thing that I'm going to save the state and then see what happens and then restore the state. You can see here are the spells, and I think I already had Reveal Glamour. For some reason I thought I didn't, and I kept on with that, but I must have gotten it early on. So this is a good reason to have a checklist of spells, which I should probably put in my guide. This is as of May 19th, 2026. And here we are at the sword again. Nobody takes the sword. They don't even recognize we have the Sword of Freedom. Part of the literature and lore was, once the sword is found. But here, we reveal the illusion. What has become of the Sword of Freedom you're carrying? So I'm nitpicking here. That is a small inconsistency, but as I've mentioned before, the Apple only had 140K per disk and only 128K of memory, so it could only do so much. And they weren't joking when they said everybody left Freeport. We can stop in at a shop to make sure. And if we really want. But I reloaded the state so that I was right near where I can set sail for Rustic. Rustic has the game preserve, it has a bridge, and it has the Magic College. We will tackle the game preserve first. It's in the middle of that almost 3x3 clump of bushes on the map. We can see, looking to the left, or rather to the west, King's Isle, and then there is Necropolis with the 3 passages, and then southeast is the ruins, and then east is Freeport. So I just wanted to show the whole map, except for, the water that I can't walk on. without hex editing. So I am entering the game preserve from the south first because that's where some treasure is. There is nothing else. The combats here are pretty tough. You can get skinned by them, as there are enemies who will breathe at you. It's like the Mystic Wood kind of on the steroids, so just wipe these bandits out. I'm not going to right away because there is still one square to look at. There are two squares on which you can fight the bandits. One is the campfire and one is a trap, north and east. As you saw the map, there are some dark squares. I left them dark so that I would know where to go. And so I just saved and reloaded the state here, and I will tackle the bandits. This is worth dropping spells on them. And yeah, you do want to take the bandit leader out quickly. They can breathe at you. And chapter 91 or paragraph 91 says, some bandits were here. Apparently they weren't very good at it because there wasn't much treasure. But there is enough. Battle power and fire column, they aren't super useful spells, but if you're a completionist, there they are. And they are both sun magic spells. And now we are pretty much done in the east. If we snag an unseen wire, that is what sets the trap off, and the enemies will attack us if they're there, but we already took care of them. So now we are going to enter from the west, yes. And wood spirits are kind of nastier versions of merc trees. And you've been snared. What you do now is you use strength and you should have no problem. Again, there are snares all around this house, just in case you are wondering if the person's going to be super friendly immediately. This is Old Jack. There are 3 ways to talk with him. If you run away, he attacks you. He's not that hard to beat. He gets a little experience, or gives you a little experience. And you get a magic bow from the fight. Now I'm reloading the state and using bureaucracy, and he says, you're nice and all, but get out, and you're sent away. So I reload the state again, and the quote-unquote best way to do things is to show him the signet ring. He recognizes the king is dead. He walks away in despair. He will never be seen again by any living person. And you get the magic bow. And now the magic bow is sort of useless, but I do feel kind of guilty dropping it after that just because. Or not picking it up. So that is the game preserve. I left out a lot of the tricky fights. And here is the bridge. Now for the bridge, we need an item called the Enkidu totem. I cut off getting this totem at the start of play here. I had a mix up with some save states, or when I saved the game, and then when I restarted it, I saw I had the totem, and actually you can get it twice, but I didn't bother to check that, so I'm going to do that at the end. So here I'm going without the totem, and these scorpions are tough. They can quite often kill you, and they're doing a lot of damage. But that's not the way we really want to do things. We like to be peacemongers here, so I reload the save state. Paragraph 48 says a couple of magnificent mythical creatures, and totem. The way through the rock is long and dark, but do not lose heart. That is a clue for the Nisir dungeon, which is the final dungeon. It is in video number 14. We're at number 12. And here we have a huge wall of enemies. There are the evil spirits just east of the doors. Then there are cave bears to the north and bears to the south. The cave bears, it's cave bears, then wolves, and then bears, then wolves on the south. The magic shield is nice. Might as well take it. The rest, no big deal. The gold is nice to have. But you can see that we're kind of rolling in gold with not a lot to spend it on. And now we do the old hand-me-down strategy again. All right, coach gets it. Okay, it's actually wild dogs and not bridge wolves. Bridge wolves are really tough. You can see there's no loot in the south. So don't go there unless you want the extra experience or just want to say, hey, I fought everybody. And so now we are on the east part of Rustic. We can see where the College of Magic is. It's that little small building in the northeast. And here is where we use Lanaktur's spectacles. It was mentioned, I think, in paragraph 107. And we're just going to walk around the wall just to map everything out before actually entering the College of Magic. And in the I'm going to use tracking skill to say, okay, does this run anyway? There are no tracks that you can use to get here. It's just tracks as scenery. So here, there is fire that is blocking you from the next room. You can use an ice spell. So I used Ice Chill. And I used 1 point because I'm cheap, and that's good enough. So now the next room, paragraph 141, another wall of fire, but this one's different. He says, I detected a flaw in your technique. And here is where Reveal Glamour comes through again. And now, since it is ice, we can cast any fire spell, and we go with Mage Fire. Mage Light doesn't work. I guess the light is made of something different than fire, whatever that might be. And the next one, you have a gargoyle guarding the exit, so if they see you, you turn to stone. And there we go. And he says, dude, what were you thinking? So we have Diane first we have Fraser cast Disarm Trap because I mixed up the puzzles. But if we have Diane cast Cloak Arcane, we will get by. And I noticed I didn't cast Cloak Arcane much. It would have helped a bit, but not a whole ton. It would have raised armor class and maybe gotten people killed less, and that would have been useful in very tough fights, especially in fights where Diane could only cast one big chill anyway, and so this is a case for Diane getting maybe 16 spirituality, so she always has one Cloak Arcane she can cast. So Cloak Arcane gets you to the next one, and now we have to fight this guy, and we may have to heal our players, but with dragon teeth as weapons, it's pretty straightforward. And of course, I could have cast Cloak Arcane just before this fight. Paragraph 144 says there is a tripwire and a stone, which is a trap. And whenever you're killed, you're sent back, I guess, to the very back of the Magic College. Go to the back of the class, sit in the corner or whatever. Disarm Trap, however, works nicely. And the sixth room, he says, what's the proper way to do things? He's standing there, and if you try to attack him, he says, give me your best shot. You go first. Teach me something new. And 146, you have the Laugh Staff, the Sing Ring, and the Soul Bowl, and he kind of doesn't want you to take the Soul Bowl. And all these magic scrolls would be nice, but you have them already. So, kind of a bummer, but it's fun to go through. So you can get Dazzle if you didn't have it. And I think, wait, no, Fire Summon is a new one, but that's the only one. But we can't really use it because our party is full. So that's pretty much all there is for the College of Magic. It's one of those areas where I say, man, that was really neat. I wish there would have been more, but yeah, they put enough in the game. And tracking spells was tricky enough as it is. So now the enemies have refreshed, and I'm going to try to run away to get a more favorable number of evil spirits. But spoiler alert, I don't. You can get as low as 1, so I think the rolls I'm getting are really unlucky if we assume it's a straight roll from 1 to 7 or 1 to 8 even. So I just used a spell. And the scorpions are back even though I used the Enkidu totem. And now we are going to go back to the mainland. And Zaton's shrine is in the Mystic Wood. And it was here that I decided to look around the Mystic Wood a bit, and I realized that there were chests, which we'll discover later, which I think I mentioned in the previous videos as a way to boost an early party that much more. But first things first, we will go and see Zaton. Or Zaton? Zaton? It could be many things. The Mystic Wood here has the stone commemorating Zaton in the south. And here's where we use the Soul Bowl. As far as I know, the Laugh Staff and Sing Ring are useless. They aren't even good to equip. And I think I saved just in case something weird happened, but nothing really did. Brambles and Invoke Spirit and Wood Spirit are, I believe, new spells. They aren't particularly useful, but again, with the, yeah, let's get Completionist. We might as well pick off what we can. Also, why not give somebody else Create Wall? Even if we're not going to use it right now, if I start again, I'll have one more option for a person to cast that spell in Mud Toad. And it's actually necessary to get the golden boots, and you can't win the game without the boots, we'll see. Because there is something we have to jump over. We haven't been to that square yet. I should ditch the crown, but I guess the first time through I really kept a bunch of items because I wasn't sure what they did, and I think Gene Wyvern, Harlan Marriott, who has the walkthrough at GameFAQs, the first one, wrote, hey, you know, this is one thing I didn't figure out. On the one hand, it's cool to have all this stuff, but on the other hand, you worry you're going to drop something and mess things up. So I think I've got everything I can handle now from Zatons, and I'll just leave the rest. It's always a bit hard to do so, but we did get everything all at once with Beast Call at the shrine. So here is the shrine where we just need to use any weapon which, you know, will prick our finger and we'll drop some blood and be blood brothers or whatever. And this drops an Enkidu totem, which is what we use to get by the eastern bridge. And here is chest number 1 with plate mail and gauntlets. The gauntlets are actually still handy because not everybody gets gloves, and I don't think any place sells them. And here, well, there's Scare and Insect Plague, which might be useful, but the first one is that we saw up a bit is more important. So we've gotten through the quests we wanted to, but I still want to show something. There are a couple of locations we haven't looked at. One of them is the old dock, and it's kind of a bit north of Phoebus, and we need to go to the underground and then up through Lansk Undercity, and we will buy a ticket, which we did not do the last 2 times we were in Lansk. That will send us to King's Isle, so it's yet another way to jump across the map. The Ministry of Easy Paperwork is in the west, and I probably shouldn't be too worried about combats here because this is a bit of a joke. I think I already tried to use strength on this statue. I missed it the first time through. I saw 3 out of 4, so my brain said, oh, yeah, I still got to find that statue, except I don't. And the midget maniacs do a bit of damage, but you can run away from them pretty quickly. So might as well just save time. King's ticket is what you need to buy for $50. And the docks are on the very north. There's water in the very north, which is an underground lake, which is kind of cool. You might not expect that from how dry Lansk seems, though it is a coastal city, strictly speaking. And you get right there, and the ferrymaster already asks for your ticket. So here is where, if you remember the pilgrim garb in Kingsholm, you could wear that, and that would send you to Pilgrim's Dock. And we need 24 strength to open up the statue and find a treasure trove, and you notice the Apple IIgs. I forget what it does, but it casts a certain spell. And I think on the PC, you get an IBM PC, and the statue is holding an IBM PC and is standing above Apple IIs. So that's that's kind of, playing to the crowd in any case. And yeah, you can buy a ticket back to Lansk if you want, although that would be kind of pointless. And I figured I'd just map out more of the old dock. Come to think of it, I may not have mapped out the Pilgrim dock as I wanted to. I ran a bit short of time here, so I guess that will have to wait. But it has a bunch of really tough fights with guards, and if you wear Pilgrim garb, you actually get attacked by guards when you arrive at the new location. So I figured I would just map out a bit of King's Isle before I made it just south of the siege camp, which is what part 13 is going to be about. And more goblins to flee, and I realized at this point it'd be better just to automap when I don't have the video on. So that's all there is to this video. Thanks for watching through, and if you've enjoyed this enough, giving a like or subscribing if you haven't already goes a long way in encouraging me to share more videos of fun games you may want to revisit or didn't realize